We're back here at Ridin Steel. I'm at Big Moose Harley-Davidson in Portland, Maine. Todd Sanders is with me. We are here for the Kickstands Up for Kids. This is a fundraiser to benefit Camp Susan Curtis. It's a camp for young children, and the money raised goes towards scholarships for them to attend this camp.
I have been for the last several years. We've gone to the fundraiser that kicks off the big banquet that kicks off the Susan Curtis, and one of the things we get to hear on this ride, we don't get to see the actual campers, but when you and I go to that event, we get to hear campers speak about their experiences at Camp Susan Curtis and how it shifted their lives and changed their family tree, not just their lives, but the lives of their children and stuff. So obviously it's a very worthy cause, and it's a cause that takes, in many cases, underprivileged children from the state of Maine and gives them a camp opportunity that they would never get the opportunity to experience if they didn't have an organization such as this. So
Exactly. The role models there are just incredible. You know, all our children need to experience the social life of a campground. There are obstacle courses and things like that, and they get to learn about teamwork. The counselors there themselves are just awesome young people that really love and care about the kids, and I just think it's just a great experience for these young people. It really is.
Right, and when you and I go there to the banquet and we do interviews and we talk to some of the counselors, it's amazing how many of the counselors were actually campers there at one point in their lives. So they're paying it forward. They're coming back and helping out other children. So it's you know, they're giving back to what gave them a lot. So it's quite an organization.
Right, so sit tight, folks. Todd will be right back. He's going to be talking with Patricia Salvatore, and we have some other people from Camp Susan Curtis here that we want to interview as well, and so that you get to know them. We'll give you some. We'll be providing you some information, of course, so that you can contact these people, maybe support them, and you know. So stay right there. Todd will be right back.
Ridin Steel is brought to you in part by
Ray Labby & Sons Incorporated in Brunswick, a family-owned construction company servicing the Mid-Coast area since 1955. Northern Energy Services LLC of Maine, your locally owned business for residential energy audits, insulation, air sealing, and performance upgrades. For all your home energy needs, it's Northern Energy Services.
Hundred roaring engines riding steel, hearts gleaming in the sun, we're riding steel. The rubber hits the road, I'm done doing what I'm told. I'm doing what I want, riding steel. Leather on my back and the wind in my face. I'm one with the highway and with the human race. This iron horse will separate the bull from what is real. It's the nature of the beast, we're riding steel. It's the nature of the beast, we're riding steel. We're riding steel.
All right, we're back at Big Moose Harley-Davidson when we have Patricia Salvatore, always a jovial and interesting individual.
Yes, I tried.
Patricia, tell us a little bit about Camp Susan Curtis.
Well, Camp Susan Curtis is in Stoneham, Maine, and the unique thing about the camp is that it's only for Maine children. So usually kids go there by counselors from the schools, local schools in Maine that, so they're economically disadvantaged or foster kids or kids with troubled backgrounds. So they go to the camp for 2 weeks. And then they learn a lot of different things like how to trust people, how to interact with others, team building. This year they actually opened up a store, so they're teaching the kids business skills and how to do cashier work. They do a lot of career building things too, so kids that are older, like 16 and 17 years old, they actually have a van that goes out and visits colleges. They just do a lot of wonderful things, and I've had the opportunity about 3 or 4 times to visit the camp. And the kids just say wonderful things. It's really changed their lives.
Well, one of the things I said with Steve in the opener was, to me it appears a lot of the kids, counselors, were actually campers at Camp Susan Curtis at one point in their lives.
Yes, and actually there were a couple of camp counselors that I was able to meet that actually said that they couldn't wait to get to the age to where they could be counselors, so they could be there all summer long because it was the most stability they had. Like one particular girl was in 16 different foster homes, so she looked forward to going to the camp, and it was really the only stable period she had in her life.
There's obviously Maine has a lot of camps, but the financial ability of the students, especially I say students, or the young people that you are sending to this camp, they don't have those kind of resources. So if it wasn't for Camp Susan Curtis for events such as this, those students those children would never get the opportunity to attend a camp.
That's very true, and like you said, there's a lot of different camps in Maine, but a lot of kids come from New Hampshire, Connecticut,
From away.
Ireland, yeah, I mean, even overseas, that come to these camps. But Camp Susan Curtis is specifically for Maine children.
Now you said the councils work all summer, so how many sessions are there of Camp Susan Curtis during the summer?
I believe there's 8.
Okay, so 2-week sessions, so
Yes.
4 2-week sessions,
Yes.
8 weeks. Now, if someone was watching wanted more information about Camp Susan Curtis, obviously this ride happens is it always this weekend, or how does it work?
No, we've been backing it up. The first weekend was in September, and then last year it was in August, and then this year is in July. So I think we're going to keep it in July. Just not sure if it's going to be this weekend or not.
Okay. Always originating at Big Moose Harley-Davidson.
Yes.
So the money that raised here, this is just one piece of the puzzle, obviously, the money that raises for Camp Susan Curtis. How else could people make a contribution to Camp Susan Curtis? If they're watching at home, they may not be able to make it to the ride. What are some of the ways they can contribute to the cause?
Yep, they could actually go to, Lori would be better to tell you that, but like Camp Susan Foundation, they can go to the Facebook page, Camp Susan, Friends of Camp Susan Curtis, and they can make donations that way. They can send it in. I know that they have a website that they can also donate online.
So there's plenty of ways people can help out Maine kids, and the thing is that, and I said again in the opener, it's not only that they're helping Maine kids, they're changing family trees, because they always have a keynote at that banquet, and it's always a former camper at Camp Susan Curtis, and I mean there's doctors, there's lawyers, there's people in business, high-ranking people in business. I mean this it sounds like a small amount of time, but 2 weeks can change a person's life.
Yes, and I think it's that they return. So the kids that go year after year have been shown that it's like 96%, or maybe even 98% that actually end up graduating high school, and then another like 86% that go on to some type of secondary schooling, which is awesome. So we really are changing the pathways to some of these, for some of these kids in their lives.
So if someone's watching, not only can you help donate to the cause, but if you know a young person who could benefit from an experience like Camp Susan Curtis, I would strongly encourage you to reach out to the school guidance counselors, because as you said, it's guidance counselors that can make the recommendations. So if you know a student or a child who could benefit from a program such as this, who's struggling, I mean, it's a tough time to be a kid.
Yes.
And if you know someone who's struggling, a young person who's struggling, and you think they could benefit from a camp or an experience such as this, I would encourage you to reach out to your local school, make the recommendation, and then let them take it from there, and hopefully we'll provide someone with an opportunity to experience this.
Yeah, because it's all donation only. So Camp Susan Curtis Foundation doesn't receive any state or federal funding. So all the money that they get is through fundraisers. So they fundraise all year long. So this is just one fundraiser out of many that they do. Yeah.
So I encourage you to check out Camp Susan Curtis. Join us on the ride. It's going to be every year. So we look forward to doing it in 2017 here at Big Moose Harley-Davidson. So check the Ridin Steel calendar. Find out when the Kickstands Up for Kids ride is, and join us here. And if you can't, please check out the website. Make a donation, change a life.
Great. Thank you.
All right, Steve Maroy's here, and I'm fortunate enough to have a woman by the name of Joan Dyer with me. Is it Joan or Joanne?
It's Joan, but you can call me Joanne.
I can call you anything but late for supper.
That's right.
There you go. But anyways, Joan is part of this organization that took place to make this ride happen. And what was your role, Joan?
My role this year was to get Big Moose lined up and get the police lined up, and met many times on deciding on raffles, but I have to say Jim and Pat Salvatore, hands down to them, because they did everything with the raffles. They went and got, I would say, 95% of the raffles. So.
Yeah, some people have what it takes to go begging, and some don't, huh?
They
basically.
are fantastic with it.
Yeah. So, Joan, tell me, why is this particular program so important to you? Why is Camp Susan Curtis so important to you?
It's important to me because it allows Maine children that are disadvantaged, they're being bullied, they don't feel great about themselves. And this camp will help lift their spirits and brighten their future. And it transforms their lives because it continues on to colleges. They'll take them around and have them visit different colleges. So there's a lot of successful people that have come out of Camp Susan
Yeah,
Curtis.
very interesting point that you make. You know, when some children are growing up in, oh, let's call it dysfunctional homes or whatnot, they can be experiencing a lot of negativity. They can be experiencing a lot of criticism. And if you're told enough times that, you know, you're not worthy, you're not, I don't know, you know what I mean? If someone tells you you're ugly over and over and over again, or you're stupid, you know, that kind of
That's
stuff,
right.
you begin to believe it. And so it's important that people that, like the counselors in Camp Susan Curtis and all the friends that they make there and stuff like that, they get to see that not everybody is like that,
Not
right? And
at
that there's a lot of
all.
wonderful people out here willing to reach out, help. They're kind, compassionate, and
And when
loving.
it comes to children, you have more compassion with the public that will help out with this cause.
Right. So thank you so much, Joan, for
All right,
sharing
thank you.
your perspective on it, and I really appreciate it, and I wish you the best of luck today,
All right,
okay?
thank you, Steve.
Excellent.
All right.
All right, with me now I have Melissa Silly, and you are the Executive Director for Camp Susan Curtis. Did I say that right?
The Susan Curtis Charitable Foundation.
Tell us a little bit about the Camp Susan Curtis Charitable Foundation.
The Susan Curtis Charitable Foundation operates and fundraises for Camp Susan Curtis. So we've been in existence since 1971, and Camp Susan Curtis opened in 1974. It's always been all about economically disadvantaged Maine kids, all 16 counties, and it's all about helping them reach their potential and giving them what they need to be the incredible people they are.
Well, and I think that's the thing that really stands out to me about this, having been to the banquets and having done this ride a couple times, is that it does afford an opportunity for students to reach, or I keep saying students, but for young people, to reach potential that without this opportunity they may never be able. It's not that it's not within them, it's just not given the opportunity to present itself. So it certainly does a good job of that. Now let's talk a little bit about Camp Susan Curtis, the name itself, because that was named, if my memory serves, it was a tragic event, if I remember right. It was named after the daughter of a former governor
That's
of the
correct.
state of Maine. So if you want
That
to tell
is
us a little bit about the
Absolutely.
origins of that.
Absolutely. It's actually a beautiful story. It's the story of a family that lost their 12-year-old daughter while the Curtises were in the Blaine house. They lost their 12-year-old daughter, Susan. They had another daughter, Angela, who also died of cystic fibrosis. So they had two daughters, and while they were in the Blaine house, Susan passed away. And the people of Maine, as the people of Maine are, were very sympathetic and wanted to reach out and just show in a very nonpartisan way, just to say, we're so sorry for your pain as parents. And so they started sending small gifts, and as they did, the family and some of their close friends got together and said, what can we do that's significant, is going to change the future of Maine, and is going to really make a difference in Susan's name? And so the Susan Curtis Charitable Foundation was founded, and Camp Susan Curtis came out of their desire to build something permanent and lasting in Susan's memory that would be for the children of Maine.
So did Camp Susan Curtis, was that the start? Was that the original cause for the Susan Curtis Foundation, or did that just materialize or appear over time?
My understanding is that the Susan Curtis Foundation, they always knew they wanted to work with children, but the opportunity to form Camp Susan Curtis came out of a lot of hard work of a lot of people.
So you said it was back in the 70s.
Yes.
So where is Camp Susan Curtis now, the foundation itself? Where does it stand now? And if people are watching, how can they make contributions to the cause?
It's actually very exciting what's happening with Camp Susan Curtis. After 40 years, the Camp Susan Curtis is still strong, still run almost entirely by donations. No state money, no federal money, all the people of Maine and foundations and businesses and individuals. And we just went through strategic planning, and our programs are going to be year-round, so available to provide opportunities for our youth year-round, to provide more chances for them. And yes, they are kind of students, because they're learning life lessons, they're learning a lot of the skills and habits that they need to become independent contributing citizens into the future.
So obviously now if it's going to be year-round, it's going to impact more individuals than it's been able to impact before. How many, on average, in the past and moving forward, how many young people would you say, on average, the camp helps in a year?
There's over 500 youth that are served in a year, and we've served over 16,000 Maine youth since the early 70s.
And I know the numbers support the fact that these individuals who participate, these young people who get to participate in this program, they stay in school. They graduate from high school. They go on to post-secondary education, and they become contributing members of society.
Absolutely, and that's part of our mission. Our mission was revised, as I said last year, with strategic planning, so that now we're working to develop these young people with self-confidence, with the skills that they need to become those independent contributing citizens. That's really what it's all about, and helping them reach their potential, because they have so much to offer, all of us.
So many roadblocks to get by.
Absolutely.
So if someone's watching, where can they make a donation? How can they find out more information?
You can go to www.susancurtisfoundation.org. There's a donation page. If you click on donate, you can donate right online, or you can call us at 774-1552. Our administrative offices are located in Portland, and we would be very happy to share more with you at any time.
So here again, you can help someone help themselves to become a better person. Doesn't get any better than that.
Certainly doesn't.
Okay, I'm now here with Andrea.
Hello, Stevens is
Yes.
my last name.
Andrea Stevens, and why I have Andrea here is when she was a child, she went to Camp Susan Curtis.
I
and
did.
So you have some memories of the campground.
I do.
And what, may I ask, got you there in the first place? What took place? What was going on in your life back then?
My mom was a single parent, and there were 3 kids, and we just needed an outlet, and Camp Susan Curtis helped us.
Right.
We were financially inept, and they were, very beneficial to all of us.
Right. So basically, you were poor.
Yeah, we were very
Yeah,
poor.
and so a scholarship there was very helpful
Yes,
to you,
it
right?
was.
And so why don't you describe what it was like? Do you have memories, like favorite memories?
Back then it was 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Now it's only 2, I believe.
Yeah.
But
So that was like a long
it
relationship.
was it was just a great place to meet other people just like you,
Right.
dealing with single parents and being poor, and it was just such a camaraderie.
Right. What's your most memorable moment, hon?
I guess my best memory would have to be the dance the weekend we left. The Friday night dance.
A big deal.
We had it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Everybody got made up, and
Yeah. All
We had a
dressed
great
up
time,
and
yeah.
went to the lodge and started
we did.
boogieing,
Yeah,
huh?
we did.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That really is. So you see how important this is, folks. Go to the contact information that's been provided in this show. And, if you feel you want to help some kid go to experience a camp like this, please make a donation. Contact them. right?
absolutely very beneficial.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you for sharing with
welcome,
me.
baby.
Okay, Andrew? All right. Great.
With me now I have Grizz Gallipo, Grizz, we'll call him Grizz, a face that's very familiar to members of the biking community, especially in the central Maine area, southern Maine area, throughout the state. Grizz, you may have seen him on a couple episodes of Ridin Steel earlier. He has taken the reins of Stoney's Memorial Run, one of the, if not the biggest, I think second to the toy run, the biggest ride in the state of Maine. Always the first Sunday in August, always originated at Fort Andros in Brunswick, Maine, and now returning to the co-op in Booth Bay Harbor, which for
Actually,
those
the Booth Bay Lobster Wharf, but we call it the co-op.
still the co-op, but
It's always been the co-op.
if you ever did Stoney's ride in the earlier days years ago, it was the co-op, so you know exactly where the ride's going, and that truly is a special ride. It was one of the first rides I ever participated in. Actually, I think I got my bike at the end of July. It actually was the very first. I picked a big one. I picked a big one to take part in the first time, and actually it's where Steve interviewed me. I was interviewed for Ridin Steel on that ride, by Ridin Steel on that ride, and look what Stoney's did to me.
Oh, Stoney's done a lot.
Yes, he has. So tell us a little bit now. You're here because of the cause. When Stoney did it, you may remember, people that watched, there were causes that came and went, but it really was the Maine Children's cancer research that Stoney did. But since you've taken the reins, it's changed a little bit, and change is a good thing. So tell us why you're here today and a little bit about the ride this year.
The two group of people that does this is Jim and Patty Salvador. They're good friends of mine. They told me about Camp Susan Curtis, and he wanted me to come on his ride and support him. And he did it to me. Did it for Stoney's Memorial Run last year, and both Squatch and I, my cousin, we checked out Camp Susan Curtis, and it's beautiful, and it's something that Stoney would want. We're keeping it in the state of Maine, and we're taking care of kids. So I'm bouncing from place to place to place. Next year, we'll see.
Well, as you're watching this, obviously people are watching this in the winter months or when we're almost approaching riding season. The run is always the first Sunday in August.
Always first Sunday in August, and it's always starting at Fort Andros. We always leave at 11 sharp. We have a police escort. I'd say 85 to 90% of the way. We're pretty well organized when it comes to that, and we just got to keep on remembering. Always the first Sunday of August of every year, rain or shine, we do it.
Yeah. And the one thing I started to talk about before I was unable to speak, you took my breath away, Chris. I was unable to speak. That's one of the rides where people actually know that ride's coming through. Rides like this, even as well organized as they are, people on the street may not always realize the ride's coming through. People know Stoney's ride's coming through, and people sit out on lawn chairs.
Wait.
They have parties on their lawns to watch
Kids
the ride go by.
Waiting for us to go by, waving,
Yeah.
beeping the horns, waving. It's great.
So if you have not, if you don't go on, well, I can't say that if you don't go on any ride, but if you're going to go on a ride in 2017, I strongly encourage you to go on Stoney's Memorial Run because it's very memorable, it's unique, and it goes to help support causes in the state of Maine. It's Maine people and people from away helping to support causes in the state of Maine.
For kids.
For kids. So it's always for kids, always first Sunday in August, and always a great time.
Yes, very much
Thank
so.
you, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Ride for Help and Hope to benefit My Breast Cancer Support, August 12th, 8:30 a.m. with kickstands up at 11 a.m. at the American Legion Route 125 in Epping, New Hampshire. For more information, email Brenda Smith at bssmith_new41@yahoo.com. Lyme disease. It's hit epidemic proportions and so many affected remain misdiagnosed. Ridin Steel and the Taste of Maine restaurant have joined forces to bring you the Ride for Lyme. Join Ridin Steel at noon on Saturday, May 6th at the Taste of Maine restaurant, Route 1 Woolwich, for a Mid-Coast Loop benefit ride. In the Ridin Steel tradition, this will be a donations-only ride to benefit Lyme disease support, awareness, and education. For more information, visit us on Facebook or ridinsteel.com.
I've been thinking a lot about my life. Amazes me just how fast the years go by. I've learned that success always comes with a price. I'd like to go back to a simpler time when life was easy as kick the can. G.I. Joe and Spider-Man, fishing with my old man. Weekend for Neverland, hanging out with all my friends. Summer never seemed to end. Ever think about the times back then? You remember when? Oh, the things my mama found in the pockets of my jeans. Turn them inside out before the washing machine. Dad was the most amazing man that I'd ever seen. Exactly the kind of man I couldn't wait to be. And life was easy as kick the can. G.I. Joe and Spider-Man, fishing with my old man. Weekends were never planned. Hanging out with all my friends. Summer never seemed to end. Ever think about the times back then? Do you remember when? When riding your bike just as fast as you could down a winding gravel road led to running home to your mama. With skin up knees and a bloody nose. But life was easy as kick the can. G.I. Joe and Spider-Man, fishing with my old man. Weekends were never planned. Hanging out with all my friends. Summer never seemed to end.
Ever think about the times back then when life was easy as kick the can? G.I. Joe and Spider-Man, fishing with my old man, weekends were a different plan. Hanging out with all my friends, summer never seemed to end. Ever think about the times back then? Do you remember when? Do you remember when?
Marley's Ride, a ride to remember, Sunday, May 21st from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Pepper's Garden Grill in Winthrop. Kickstands up at noon. Your $20 donation also gets you into the barbecue. Music by Caldwell Brothers. For more information, call Pepper's Garden Grill at 377-8877 or email Ted Johnston at gwi.net. Proceeds provide scholarships to the Julia Kluge Summer Camp for Girls at Camp KV.
All right, the ride ended up at Daddy-O's in what town?
Oxford. It was a good ride. Jim Salvatore did a nice job as the road captain, and all the road guards did a nice job, and it was one of the best rides we've been on this year. Dan Willett was making that comment to me when we arrived at Daddy-O's that he thought it was one of the best, well-organized, best runs he'd been on. So
yes. We were having threatening skies of thunder showers, and we still are. It's kind of dark in patches everywhere, and so we rushed down here to Lisbon to Todd and Tom's office, the railroad restaurant and pub here. And you know, I want to say that, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's show on the coverage that we did for Camp Susan Curtis. The camp is definitely a worthwhile place for our children to go to. People who work there or are part of it are very passionate, and they really love that place, don't they? I mean, you know, everybody that I talk to, they're into it. You know, they're into the kids. They're there for the right reasons and trying to teach them life lessons, provide them a safe, nurturing environment to grow in and experience some, you know, new things with camping.
yeah, I think it's the cycle. It's cyclical. Those kids that go to the camp get so much out of it that they want to give back, so they go back and they become counselors for the entire summer. And I was told earlier they're going to start doing Susan Curtis stuff year-round, not the camp, but there's going to be year-round supports going on for young people. So it's you know, it's a labor of passion, I guess. I mean, a labor of, you know, they enjoy
Labor of
it.
love.
Labor of love. They enjoy it
Absolutely.
so much that, and it makes such a big difference. A little thing can make a big difference. 2 weeks can make a huge difference in a child's life.
Hey, you got any childhood experiences with camping?
Well,
Did you go camping
there
with?
was one time at band camp. Now the only camps I ever did, I didn't do outdoors nature type camps. I did sports camps as a participant, and then as a coach, I did ran some camps. So that was my experience, more in the gym and on the field than out in the nature, out in the wilderness.
Yeah. Well, I've done a little bit of everything actually. I've gone way up north in the Allagash area to camp and felt the remoteness of all of that. And boy, when you're walking down a trail when you're a kid and all of a sudden you see a big print like this in the ground, it's like you're looking around. Well, it's probably a moose, you know what I mean? Something like that. You're looking around to see if it's there. Of course, we've been to campgrounds similar to Camp Susan Curtis, where, you know, they have a playground and water and boating and canoeing and stuff like that. They got all of that kind of stuff.
You actually rode to the camp one time.
Yes.
I never got the opportunity to do that, so I'm not that familiar with what the camp has to offer as far as the physical layout of the camp. So
Well, I did personally tour the facility, and you know, it's all they got a huge lodge in there to hold big dinner banquets and possibly dances in there. We talked with Andrea earlier in the show where she said the most memorable time was the dance on one of the last days that she was there, because everybody got to dress up and they all showed up in the lodge, and it was a big deal for them. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed watching today's show and that you'll go to the information we provided you for Camp Susan Curtis, and if you can find it in your hearts to donate money and send a kid to this camp. It's a worthy cause to support, and you'll feel really good about doing something so positive for a young person. Until next week, folks.
Thank you for watching Ridin Steel.
Absolutely.
Ridin Steel is brought to you in part by
Ray Labby and Sons Incorporated in Brunswick, a family-owned construction company servicing the Mid-Coast area since 1955.